Great. Let's begin. So we've got a great turnout today. So we are very thankful for you guys for joining us this lovely morning. And let me begin by giving a quick introduction of the webinar for today. So my name is Harry, and I'm part of Spring Networks, and I've got Alex here with me as well.
Hey, hi everyone.
So we'll be presenting this webinar to all our audience. So this is a series of webinars that we run every single Friday at 11 o'clock. And we plan to keep this webinar as short as possible, meaning cap it at maximum of 30 minutes. I know you guys have a lot of stuff to do. So last week we discussed Fortinet, which is a Fortinet solution, which was a perimeter solution, perimeter security solution. So this week we are planning on talking about Cisco and Cisco's Umbrella solution. So we plan to keep this webinar as neutral as possible. And at the end of the webinar, we plan to give a live demo. And we hope this proves that Cisco Umbrella is a perfect cost-effective solution for your organization. Great. Let's begin by talking about the challenges the IT is facing today. Going back a few years, most of the infrastructure, the security infrastructure was on the perimeter, meaning that there was a firewall and all the users were sitting behind the firewall. So if a certain employee is going into the office, they would log into their office computer, and then the traffic of that office computer will be going in and out of a single firewall. So that means that they are certainly protected from any sort of threats. But the way we've been working has significantly changed in the recent years, because mainly due to COVID and due to the rapid increase in remote work.
Exactly. So let's talk about what has been changed. So more change happens. It's the network moving off the network, and now, as you all know, so the branch offices now connect to the internet directly, especially in the Pacific Islands. Because before we thought that the internet in Pacific Islands is not that great. You can't handle the enterprise grade traffic at the internet level. But right now, given our experience and also the technologies right now we're using like the SD-WAN, so more and more customers are moving slowly from the MPLS and the lease line to the internet at the branch level. And also more than that, there are more roam users than ever. As we all know, so current the COVID-19 circumstance, now there's an expectation that to be able to connect from anywhere you are comfortable with, like an airport or cafe or even from your home. And also for all the users, they don't always turn on the VPN, which means they are more vulnerable and you lack visibility and protections. And also the most important part is all the critical infrastructure, like your email, like your Salesforce, all your internal stuff, are now slowly moving to the cloud.
Right. I think the fact that SD-WAN is a really popular product as well. So we have a dedicated webinar for that every Friday at 10 a.m. So if you are really interested in SD-WAN, especially in the Pacific Islands, I must say, the demand for SD-WAN has been quite interesting.
Correct. Okay, let's look at some specific statistics.
This is statistics gathered from Google and some well-known providers. So it says that 49% of the workforce has gone mobile within the last few years, and 82% of that 49% has admitted to not using a VPN. So which is quite concerning, because they are not protected. They're having direct internet access. So there is no firewall or any security infrastructure sitting between them. And if you take branches itself, 70% of branches have direct internet access. So which means, again, no firewall, no security infrastructure. So it's your entire security architecture within your headquarters is also very compromised if someone gets into your branch office. So this is where really Cisco Umbrella comes in and really shines. So to summarize all the challenges that we've talked about, so organization lack visibility within their networks. So you don't know what the users are doing. You don't know if it's good traffic or if it's malicious traffic. And the second thing being enforcement. If you don't have really visibility within your network, enforcing any sort of policies, whether to block, allow certain users, it's going to be quite challenging. And if you don't have visibility as well as enforcement, then managing those endpoints is quite challenging. So this is a really good entry to Cisco Umbrella. Perfect. So now let's dig in a little bit deeper onto what actually Cisco Umbrella is. I think before understanding really what Cisco Umbrella is, you need to understand what DNS is, because DNS is the core part of Umbrella. So the way DNS works is that it translates your IP address to a relevant domain name. So for example, if you say google.com, you might know google.com, but the computer and the infrastructure does not know, does not understand google.com. What it understands is the relevant IP address. So for example, if it's 8.8.8.8, what DNS does is it takes care of the translation between the two. So the way Umbrella works is that anytime a DNS request is sent out from your endpoint, any single endpoint, it scans for it. It scans whether it's coming from within your network, if it's off the network, wherever you are, it scans this specific DNS request. So I think let's look at how really how all of this really works.
Cool. Thanks, Harry. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. So when the Umbrella receives a DNS request, let's give an example. Here in the slide said internetbadguys.com. It will first identify which customer the request is coming from and which policy to apply. And is it coming from your IT team or from your HR team or from your senior executive team? So you can set up different policies to each group. Firstly, you can group all the users and then set up different policies to each group according to the access they require.
Right. So I think we'll be showing this in the live demo as well.
Exactly. And then after that, what Cisco Umbrella does is it will put all the requests into 3 categories. The first one is safe request, which is normal business-related traffic, and it will roll the connection as usual. You will go to internet straight. And then the second one is malicious request, or those go against your policy. For example, you don't want a user to go to the gambling and or other YouTube website during the daytime. And then we will roll the connection to the blog page, which also can be customized. I think we can also show that during the demo.
Yeah.
And the last one is magic of Umbrella. So for other unknown or risky requests, so it will roll the connection to the cloud-based proxy for the deeper inspection to check even more. So what happens when we got a request for a risky domain is the Cisco Umbrella will start with the URL inspection. Just going back to the internetbadguys.com. So we as a human, we can quickly identify that this is a suspicious website. So this should be blocked. But what happens when the attacker is trying to trick us? So instead of apple.com, so they use app1e.com at quick glance. This might fool a lot of us, and this is a simple example of one of the many analytics that how Umbrella will carry on a URL to determine how reputable the website is. And if the Cisco Umbrella is not still unsure, and if the URL is for file, and then it can further scan with the Cisco antivirus and the malware engines to determine whether to validate the files. And then, since we talk about the intelligence, let's talk about the intelligence and the secret source behind the analytics. So what makes Umbrella so effective is the industry-leading threat intelligence chain called Cisco Tellers. It will be one of the large non-governmental threat intelligence group on the planet. It has close to 300 researchers, and is one of the best source of threat intelligence. And they are responsible for the protection in all the products that Cisco delivers. And also, it's not only send all the database to the security products. You also get feed from all the products. Means you're not fighting with. You're not just only using the source coming from the DNS, also other resource coming from email and the web and the endpoint security. All the sources will be fed back to the tellers, which makes your security even stronger.
Yeah, so let's look at some actual numbers. So Talos sees approximately 180 billion web requests per day. So this is from an approximate 90 million active users. And this number is only constantly growing, as we all know. Umbrella as a solution has been adopted by almost 17,000 enterprise-grade customers all around the world in 160 plus countries. So you don't really have to question as to how good a solution Umbrella is, because there are some real-world customers who actually see considerable differences by using Umbrella.
Cool. Let's look at some like a specific use case of umbrellas. So if you're not sure whether you fit this use case, you can feel free to come to us, and we will like discuss and define whether you are suitable for Cisco Umbrella. I think most of you guys might suitable for this perfect like I think DNS solutions. The first one is the protect against the ransomware and other malwares. So it will protect your network, even though if an endpoint is compromised. For normal like endpoint security, it will block all the antivirus, all that. But what if your endpoint is compromised? So what Umbrella does, it will block the command and control communication to the attacker server. So even though your endpoint is compromised, so the attacks will fail. And then the next one is as the first line of defense at the DNS and IP layer. So it will, what Umbrella can help is it will start protecting the first hop, starting from the DNS request, which is the first step of all the pretty much 99% of the internet communication. And then the last one is the protect the roaming user, which working off the network. So now we have more roaming laptop, we have more roaming user remotely connecting to your network. How are you gonna protect your network resources, and how are you gonna protect your users, even though when they are not using VPN? So there is a standalone client which has been integrated with Cisco any client or any connect, or there's a like OpenDNS Umbrella live client. So you can install that on your laptop. It will move, it doesn't matter where you sit, it will protect you all the way.
Right, perfect. Thanks, Alex. So let's get into the live demo right away. Let me quickly switch this off. All right, perfect. So once you log into your login using your username and password, you'll be greeted with this dashboard. So as soon as you come in, you'll be greeted with saying the number of malware requests found and the command and control requests, even crypto mining requests. And these are the appliances that I've added to the Cisco Umbrella. So I have one active network, which is the Sprint Networks internal network, the roaming client. So I have two active roaming clients. So that means I've installed Umbrella on two of my endpoints, and this is the virtual appliance.
Yep. So just for your information, this is in the real production network. As you can see here, we got 57,000 like a total requests.
Right, perfect. So these are the total requests and the total blocks. There have not been any blocks, total blocks or even security blocks.
Means our network is pretty secure right now.
Yeah. So, and if there were any malware, phishing, or any other type of blocks, it will be shown up here. Okay, let's go into the deployment. So, as I showed before, the network, so which is the Sprint Networks network. This is the Sprint Network Sydney office, and this is our border IP address. All you have to do is, if you want to direct your entire traffic within your organization, all you have to do is click on Add, and then add your IP network name and the IP address and your subnet mask. That's all you have to do. So, and your entire network will be going through the Umbrella DNS solution.
And then once you add your enterprise, add your organization to this one, to the network, and Umbrella will automatically receive the request coming from your network.
Yeah.
And they will process with the security intelligence internally.
Right. Yeah. And the best part is, even if you already have a firewall, let's say you've got a Fortinet or a Cisco firewall within your network already, you don't really have to get rid of any of that. This could complement it. That means it could really take that sort of security into a whole new level.
Yeah, I think that's the best part, because you don't need to implement it. You don't need to deploy any like a physical appliance.
Yeah.
Means all the existing security solution can work with the Cisco Umbrella.
Right, perfect. Yeah. So roaming computers. So these are all the computers that I've installed Umbrella on, but unfortunately I've uninstalled on 2 of my endpoints. So if you want to add, let's say, a certain number of endpoints within your organizations, all you have to do is click on the download remote client, and based on your platform, if it's Mac or even Windows, you can download it right from here. Perfect. Mobile devices. So if you have, let's say, iPhones or Android devices, you can add the client onto those as well. So even if you go off the network, and even if you're using your mobile phone, you'll be protected. And as well as Chromebook users.
So this one is a domain management. So what it does is, if you have a local domain, which normally happens, it's a normal case in most of the organization, because you will have separate public domain, you have like a local management domain. So what it does is, for your local domain, it will send it will first identify whether it belongs to the local domain. If yes, it will send to your local DNS to get the resolution instead of sending to the public. Because for this local domain, because it's not on public, so if you send to public, it will not be resolved. You will see a DNS field. So in that case, once you add this into that, automatically it will forward that to your local DNS server. And then there's another one is a root certificate, as we just mentioned before. So Cisco Umbrella will does deep inspection in the middle. So, but to do inspection, as we all know, so if you do the deep inspection for the website, and you will see the arrow and the warning pop-up said that the website is not secure, which is normal, because that certificate has been replaced by Cisco, because Cisco need to decrypt and encrypt again. In that case, to avoid that, what you need to do is download the certificate and install it on your local machine. In that local machine as a trusted root certificate. After that, all your users will not see the warming notification anymore.
Right.
So this is the best part, because you don't want your user to keep getting like a warming notification when they access the website.
Right, perfect. So let's look at some of the policies that we can apply. And if you look at all policies, you can see the default policies. And right now I have 2 lists, one block list and one allowed list, but I don't think I have any policies within them. So let's look at how to add certain policies. If you go to destination list, so these are global allowed lists. That means any policy that I add here will be allowed within your entire Umbrella domain. So for example, let's take the block list actually. So scroll down, and if I want to add youtube.com, so once I add youtube.com here, your enterprise-wide youtube.com will be blocked. So none of your users will be able to go to YouTube. So if that's a feature that you really want, you don't really have to buy expensive hardware or anything. All you have to do is onboard all your users onto Umbrella, and then click basically global block list and add the certain domain that you want to block, and it will be blocked everywhere.
And also, and more than that, so that's support the wildcard search. So if you type YouTube, any YouTube related domain, any YouTube related subdomain will be blocked as well. So you don't need to enter every single domain into that.
Right. Yeah. So we can block category-based blocks. So these are categories chosen by Cisco Umbrella itself. So they categorize websites into a certain domain. So let's say, for example, academic fraud or health and fitness. So if you don't want your internal team to go onto any of these websites, or it's as simple as clicking on any of this, and then it will be implemented organization-wide.
And I think you can choose different policy. You can create another policy as well. So for example, if you have a different team has different policies, you can have different setting. You can create different policy for each. Firstly, you need to group up all the users and then apply a different policy to all that.
Yeah. And let's look at the blog page. So this is if you want to customize. So for example, if I added youtube.com as a block domain as a policy, and if a user goes on to youtube.com, they'll be greeted with a blocked page. So you can customize the blocked page according to your requirements. So right now I've added Sprint Networks logo, and if you want a custom message, you can type any message here and it will be shown.
And the block request can be treated the same and differently as shown there. So for example, maybe accessing different website. For example, if it's a gambling website, for sure you will not let user to access it.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. But if it's for internal website, which you might want some of the user trying to access and some of the user not, so you can set a different block page. So say if you want to access it, just contact the admin. You can add like a special message to that.
Yeah, perfect. So let's look at the reporting. So if your organization or your management wants some sort of reporting saying how is my network performing, or how many threats have we seen within the last week. So all of that you can do within the reporting tool on Umbrella. So if I want to, let's say, total requests, if I want to get a report based on the total request, I can click on total request and then filter it based on what you want. So I can even add a custom range. And then, and the best part about this is you don't even have to log into the Umbrella portal. You can have all of these reports sent to you weekly or daily to your email. So all you have to do is log into your email and click on the specific email, and you'll be getting an overall view of your entire network and your entire security architecture. Yeah, so there's quite a bit of reporting tools available. For example, activity volume, top destinations. Yeah, and these are the admin portal. So if you want to add specific users into the Umbrella portal, you can do it right from here as well. I think that's not really important, I guess. So let's skip that.
And there's a log management. So I think that part is very interesting because it can be integrated with your Amazon S3 bucket. So you have a local, like you have your own like Amazon S3 bucket, which you want to store all the logs here instead of Cisco. You can do that. You can integrate that Cisco Umbrella with your Amazon S3.
That's it, correct. And you can have specific API keys. For example, if you have, let's say, an application that you're running internally or application that you're making internally, you can leverage this API to further secure your application.
And you can get Cisco Umbrella to work with your internal application to pull the information from the Cisco Umbrella.
Yeah, perfect. So I think that's the end of the demo. I think we hope you guys got something out of this. And let's get back into the webinar itself. Great. Now let's discuss why we really recommend Cisco Umbrella as a platform, especially for all of our customers in the PNG. So the first reason being that it's built into the foundation of the internet. So which is, I think we discussed this earlier, saying it's part of DNS, which is an absolute foundational component of the entire internet. And secondly, the intelligence to see attacks before they have been launched. So since they're scanning all the DNS requests, you'll all be protected. And as you saw from the portal, the dashboard, you'll have visibility within your entire network saying this user has tried to access this website and they have been there've been this many blocks, there've been this many attacks for your network. And the fourth one being enterprise-wide deployment within minutes. So if you guys come to us saying we need to deploy this, we can do it enterprise-wide, meaning your entire company-wide within a few minutes, which is very, very, very fascinating actually. And finally, as we mentioned before, integration of Umbrella into your organization could amplify your existing investments. So you don't have to get rid of any sort of firewall or any security architecture that you already have, but you can really complement them. And if you want to really run a trial, I know we really discussed this in depth within the webinar, but you won't really understand the power of Umbrella until you really see it yourself. So we are running a free trial for all our customers, especially in the PNG customers, to get hands on this amazing product. And we know this will convince all of you guys to get Umbrella onto your entire network, because we understand the power, and we hope to convince you guys as well. That's it for the webinar piece. And if you guys have any question and answers, please post us on the chat, and we will answer them immediately.
So it looks like our audiences are pretty quiet today. So let me see. Okay, we got one request. Okay, one of our audiences is asking. So they are asking for the like the demo for the Cisco Umbrella. So how they can get this?
Yeah, perfect. So that's a good question. Actually, you can we can organize this for you, and we'll take care of the entire integration process. So if you want 10 users and you want to trial it for an entire month, you can easily drop us an email at info@sprintnetworks.com, and we can take it from there. We can ensure that you run the entire demo for one whole month, so that you can see the entire potential and the power of Cisco Umbrella. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, and also just add to that. So this will be a free of charge demo, and with absolutely no commitment.
Yeah, no strings attached. And if you don't want to go with Umbrella, fine, all good.
Yeah, I think most of people, if they see the power of Umbrella, they will definitely go with it.
Yeah, we are very convinced of that. And there's another question coming in from one of the audience saying, is there a minimum purchase license for Umbrella? I think that's a really good question. Alex, do you want to take that?
Yeah. So I think that's a good part of Umbrella. So to answer your question, there's no minimum purchase. So you can purchase 1 license to 1,000 license. Yeah. So that's purely up to you. So that's the flexible that Cisco Umbrella is offering.
Yeah, and the other thing is that if you get 10 licenses, or let's say even 50 licenses, and if you want to increase the number of licenses every month, increase or decrease actually. Let's say you want 10 users the next month, and you'll be able to add or remove users at the end of each month. So you'll only pay for the users that you actually use.
Yeah, the flexibility is there, so you can add and remove the user on the way.
Yeah, perfect. That seems to be it for the questions. Yeah, all good. So thanks again for joining us this week Friday, and we hope to see you guys next week Friday at the same time at 11 a.m. Till then, goodbye.
Bye.